right, thank you for staying with us on Daybreak. I am joined in studio by Ivy Mushoki, National Coordinator, Viable Alternative Republic 3738, the 37 Article 37, 38 Article 38. All right, we also have in studio Davis Benoluch, ODM Youth League. We have Otieno Mokaya, who's just joined us as an advocate. Tobias Thuo was narrating his experience during the June 25th protest of last year. He was shot in the leg. He is still recovering, not yet fully recovered. And so a lot has been said already. We've heard from Davis, who says, it needs to go beyond financial consideration to how do we get to the point where never again literally means never again. I'll come to you, Wakili. Davis made reference to what was made in the speeches when this team was sworn in, and Faith Odhiambo was like, this is not a betrayal. I'm taking part in this process to ensure that there is justice for the victims and the families who are bereaved. Do you feel like it was the right decision to take part?
Thank you, Olive, for having us today. And this is a good conversation to have. It directs the nation to where it should look at in terms of what happened in this country and where we are going. I want, number one, to really express my sympathies to my brother just here with us in studios. Nobody wants that to happen to him. I also want to extend my sympathies to anyone who lost a life or a relative, a limb, any injury due to maandamano. It's not proper that once you go to exercise or enjoy your political or constitutional rights, you meet your death there. Actually, in most of our languages, start from English, Swahili, even in our mother tongues, there is no description, there is no phrase or name that describes a parent who's burying their children. We have orphan, we have widow, widower, but there's no name that properly describes a parent burying a child, which means there is no language, no community that has thought that is desirable, not even possible. That said, there are things we can't reverse. Injuries have happened, however undesirable. Deaths have happened, however undesirable. This is the right way to go. Reparation is the right way to go, though not sufficient, not enough. Those lives cannot be brought back. But at least we see some kind of response. But this response will not be sufficient without a proper apology. This response will not be sufficient without policy statements that looks into how to fully convert our police force to a police service, not just in name, but also in training, in the admission procedure. We can't have the worst of us are the ones that fit police. You hear people say, "Huyu ametusumbua sana, wacha ingie polisi." Can we create an environment where even the most brilliant in our society desire to join the police force? Can we create a way that this police force becomes a profession? Can we have courses in universities where people are taught on how policing should be done? Can we have the curriculum overhauled from the colonial approach of policing where raia ni adui to where the police facilitate compliance with the law? We have even our traffic officers who hide behind bushes to take your photo that you have exceeded the speed limit. We have police officers whose business is to key in your number plate to confirm whether your insurance is current. Can we have?
But isn't that their job?
Can they foster compliance than put traps to profiteer from non-compliance? Can we have a policeman telling you, pitia injia, your insurance is 1 day to expiry, don't forget to renew it tomorrow? Can we have a policeman telling you you are getting into a black spot, punguza mwendo kidogo, not to hide in a bush and then tell you, nimekushika sasa.
But not all of them, all of them.
But that's the approach of policies. So,
I haven't experienced that.
So
jumping at me out of a bush.
To land my point, I have all support for what is happening. I have a problem with how it's being done. I know I don't have the right, or it's not proper to question somebody who's walking when you're sitting, but there are constitutional bodies with that mandate already. We have the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. We have Amnesty International, the Law Society of Kenya. We have parliamentary bodies that are vested with that power, and money is expended to them every year to do just that. That there is another body that is being created to spend people's taxpayers' money to do the same job that other people are budgeted to do is itself unprocedural. But now that we are here, I thought these experts that are leading this process could have been co-opted to existing constitutional or legal bodies to do this. I know my president, Faith Odhiambo, said that this is not a betrayal, but human minds don't read in the negative. When you say, I'm not stealing from you, what I really mean is actually I'm stealing from you, or at least that's what the human mind registers. I believe there was a better way to do it. She could have stayed where she is as an umpire or a watchdog, and maybe deputize the council members, maybe deputize members of the Law Society to sit on that seat, so that there is that thing called plausible deniability, where the CEO allows other junior people to do the mistakes, then he can do corrective measures. My worry is when they do what they're not supposed to do, when they can't say no to the big man, then who reverses what Faith Odhiambo and other heads of otherwise activist societies are supposed to do?
All right. I'll come to you now, Ivy. Listening to that report we aired earlier, we had Professor Makau Mutua say, judge us by our actions, right? Not our words. Why do you think there's this skepticism? Is it that Kenyans have been burnt so many times before, they find it difficult to put their faith in this process?
First of all, Olive, I just want to recommend the president for what he did, because this is a historical moment, because this has never happened in Kenya before. We have never had a reparations committee. We've never had victims being given back after what they've gone through. I want to just condole with my brother here, Tobias. He's already saying how he's gone through emotional trauma. He's already saying that he needs some healing, some emotional healing. And this is a process. And the truth is, we've never actually gone through this before. But this kind of act has already happened in different countries like Chile, countries like Nigeria. These are countries that have already come up with such a system of structure that can be able to recuperate and actually re-engineer something that can be able to heal the country. The National Act, the National Compensation Act of 2014 actually mandates the country or the state to actually protect its people, protect and fulfill its people. So whatever the country is going through, it's going through, like the country, Kenya is bleeding. That's the truth. Kenya is bleeding. And the reason why this committee has been formed is so that it can actually orchestrate a system of national healing. Like, we need the land to heal. And for the land to heal, different stakeholders must come on board. My brother here has talked about the KNHR, the different stakeholders that have been given the mandate to actually go through. But this is the first time in the history of Kenya that a committee has actually been obligated to just focus on actually taking care of the needs of its people. So it is recommended. It is something that we should actually give them time. Let's give them time. Let's see what they've done. Because in the TOR, they've been given 120 days to actually make sure that these victims are compensated, make sure that these victims give their story. And funny enough, they're actually going to be working with these institutions, KNHCR, the different stakeholders, And I believe that we need to give them that space, because this country is going through a lot of bloodshed, a lot of pain, a lot of anguish. But we need to relate to the people. We need to actually give the chance to these stakeholders, these people. Professor Makau, we know him as a very constitutional person. We know that he's able to lead a team. Faith Odhiambo, she's been literally going to courts, taking care of these people, saying that these people need to be taken care of. So I believe this is the right people. We just need to give them time. 120 days is not a lot of days, but I believe that with the right reports, with the right kind of mindset, with the right kind of understanding and psychological analysis, we'll be able to actually get what we need from them. So I believe that we need to give them that time. We need to actually give them what it is that they were enabled to, because at the end of the day, these are not just, they're not just any people. They're actually technical experts. We have even fathers, literally reverends. We have doctors. Like, I mean, if the panel can be given actually to this kind of people, it means that even as the time progresses, the panel even can expand to even give other young people to even have a chance to sit on the table. So we need to give it time. We need to see where it can set precedents and see how it's going forward. And the good thing about this is now we have an accountable system. Now we have a structure that we can actually be accountable to.
Okay. All right, so let's just take a look at the mandate, and I'm coming to Davis. The panel will design and operationalize a framework to verify, categorize, and compensate eligible victims. So verify, categorize, and compensate, an operational framework. Engage families of victims and key institutions, including state agencies mandated to address human rights issues, civil society organizations, and religious institutions to ensure inclusivity and fairness, access and authenticate information from state organs and public offices subject to the law, including IPOA, KNCHR, NPS, Ministry of Health, and civil society. Recommend reparations, prosecutions, or other accountability measures to the ODPP and relevant oversight bodies where evidence so warrants. Summon any person or institution to provide information or documents necessary to discharge its mandate. Co-opt technical experts and constitute working groups to enhance inclusivity and technical depth. Propose legislative and institutional reforms to address protests and culture of policing. Report progress periodically to the president and deliver a final report at the end of its 120-day mandate. Davis, initially we had opposition leaders say this is like the defendant acting as judge and jury over its own crimes. So they're saying the argument was the executive was responsible for these injuries, for these deaths. How can they again come in and umpire, so to speak? I think somebody used that terminology, the compensation process. Your thoughts?
My thoughts, Olive, is that as a nation we have come so far and we are at crossroads now, and we don't need blame games now. We need healing as a country. And what I was thinking of the opposition, if they could give us an alternative, what do they think? What is their proposal? So that if their proposal could have been rejected, they could have told us that we gave the president our proposal, our proposed solutions, but he didn't use it. We need these victims compensated, well, cancelled, and all those things. And after that, then we can talk as a nation on the way forward. Olive, I want to say that the president has taken action. And my sister here is saying that this is the first time that actually we are seeing this kind of things. There are people who are still crying reparations since the USA embassy was bombed. There are people who are still crying compensation since the slave trade of the 19th century. There are people still crying compensation since Mau Mau. There are people still crying compensation since 2000 and 2008. But Mr. President has said that he's going to carry out compensations for the victims of police brutality in 2017 and 2022 and 2025 and 2024. Olive, I think this is a step in the right direction. And sometimes that's why nowadays I really oppose a lot of things being said by an opposition. I agree with my sister because he is giving us an alternative. The opposition just keep complaining that, oh, this thing, oh, this
No, they
thing.
did give an alternative. They said the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights should be mandated to
actually, that is what
that's
what she was saying. That today we need a multi-sectoral. We need Kenya Human Rights there. We need the Law Society there. We need the Parliament there. We need the religious groups there.
Why?
Because the nation needs healing. Actually, because all these people are there. Even the Media Council, Olive, you people are in the streets. So you need to be there and also give your views on how these people can be compensated.
Really?
If we live, yes. Actually,
but if these people are to hear from different experts as they have been mandated, KNHCR could have done the same thing.
That's what I'm saying. KNHCR is one organization.
So you don't agree with Mokaya? Mokaya says this is a waste of taxpayer money.
Mokaya doesn't know where we are as a country politically. That's what I am saying. We need a multi-sectoral going forward until this country is healed. We need you, Olive Barrows, on that table. We need Honorable Rigathi Gachagua on that table. We need the people from ODM. And actually, Olive, I know this is unpopular, but we must also commend ODM for trying to force the government to compensate these victims using our 10-point agenda. So we must also commend Orange Democratic Movement Party, because we have also always been a party of solutions, so that people come to oppose what we have already proposed. Okay. But nobody actually comes out with a solution. So what I can say, what I can tell my brother Mokaya, is that where we are as a country, politically, economically, socially, we need to bring our heads together. We need the input of KNHCR, we need the input of the Media Council, we need the input of Parliament, we need the input of the CSS. We actually need even the input of students at the university. Okay. Yes.
Tobias, you are a victim of these protests. You are a part of the category that should be compensated. What do you think of this team and what it, I've read out what it has been mandated to do? Your thoughts?
Mimi naweza fikiria, naweza sema about hii compensation. Unajua hata tukisema ati sahi ati utapea mtu hii pesa ama utafanya hivi, it's not worth it. Ama in short, acha niseme, nikisema watu wapewe hii pesa, ama tupewe hii do. Unajua kuna wengine hata walikufiwa, na uwezi leta hiyo life ya huyo msee. Life ya huyo mtu. So, mimi ningesema kama hao watu wangeangalia hata life insurance. Unaona life insurance? Yes?
Okay.
Inaweza kuwa better sana. About compensation. Both money and life insurance.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you say life insurance, explain to me what you mean.
I'm trying to say, okay, ukiona sasa kama saa hii maisha yetu ilisharudi nyuma. Kuna kabla tukave mali tulikuwa tumefika. It will take time. Yeah? Itachukua time. Na sasa watu wakiwa wamekavaliwa nini place zote life insurance najaribu kusema mtu haezi, kama watu wengi hawezi kujifanyia kitu. Sawa? Hawezi kujifanyia kitu. So huyo mtu if hao watu wanaweza cover mtu mambo ya nini? Health.
Okay.
Health issues. Unaona bado kuna watu wanaendanga nini? Inaitwa nini? Kuna watu wanaendanga
for treatment like
kuna watu wanaendanga, lakini sasa unaona hata ukimpea hiyo pesa si utaenda kama 1 year, hata ukipewa pesa utaenda kama 1 year na hiyo pesa iishe, si ndio? But sasa if wanaweza cover mtu hiyo life insurance.
Okay, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
All right. So karibu sana Patricia Mwiti, advocate.
Thank you.
Your thoughts on this team that is mandated to design an operational framework for the compensation of victims such as Tobias. A welcome move?
Thank you very much. First, I would love to say sorry for everyone who got injured or in one way affected, because we also have businesses that were affected and we have people who lost their lives. What I feel about the team that has been formed, I feel it's a right path into healing the nation. I know there are issues about the legality of the committee. However, we still need a country that is healed. I think before the Chan spot started, there was a lot of anger amongst people. One, because they feel they have been betrayed by the government, and two, they have suffered in the hands of the government. Compensations are not supposed to bring back life. They are not supposed to restore your health to the position you were before. It is a way of saying we are sorry that this has happened. My doubts, however, is this might become a trend, that we have political eruptions here and there. We have victims, and then a committee is formed and people are compensated. So that is my fear, that we might start a trend where people just don't acknowledge the sanctity of life, and later on say we shall compensate you, or you are compensated, why are you complaining? So I feel we need to find a balance that this needs to be a stop. We need to find proper measures of ensuring that we have peaceful picketing in Kenya. The protesters were peacefully picketing. They even chanted, "We are peaceful." So why are we later on bringing a compensation on people that were peaceful? So on top of having the compensations, we also need proper reforms, not just of the police, because the police are just taking orders. Every other person, the ones who are giving orders and the ones who are taking orders, need to take responsibility of what they are doing, responsibility of their actions, and actually acknowledging that human life is precious and there is a way to treat human life. Yes.
Mokaya, there's a statement that was made by Caswell Makoure when I hosted him last year, and he said we cannot sit on the negotiating table while bodies are still turning up on the autopsy table. Can there be true justice or true peace or healing? Because I hear a lot of you saying, oh, you know, the nation needs to heal, the nation needs to heal. Can there be true healing unless there is justice for these victims?
Olive, I want to urge my brothers and sisters on this panel to first, let's approach this from a human side. Let's not import politics into lives and livelihoods of people. This is not about who supports who or who is against who. I won't give credence to either the opposition or which party for speaking about this. This is how life should be. This is Ubuntu. This is I am because you are. This is your pain is my pain. And I should approach this in the same way if it happened to me. So I faulted the process, how this is arrived to. I didn't fault the intention and the function of what this will achieve, if at all the intention remains pure. You can't bring back human life, that is true, but you can make that person who pulled that trigger responsible. While I applaud the president for this a move in the right direction, as it seems, we have had commissions of inquiry for times on end as a way to calm the pressures, calm the dissent. They end up either being disbanded or their results
or
really,
their reports end up
I never really looked
dust.
at. So I want to hope this one is new because of the faces we see there. My initial point was not about questioning the credibility or even the suitability of the committee. My question was the superfluousness of this committee. It's a role on top of another role. You don't create 10 teachers to teach one subject because you think the child needs more teachers. You create more competence within the teacher that is leading this pack and then allow the teacher do his or her job. Pay him better, make sure the teacher is happy, give him a new syllabus, give him more time with the student, then make sure every other person is clapping for the teacher, clapping for the child as we walk towards that direction. But now I want to sit as a lawyer, an advocate, and again, fundamentally a human being, and ask. My sister, who's Wakilia, said, this does not take away responsibility and, so to speak, personal and command responsibility. Somebody released or allowed that bullet and cartridge to leave a gun and injure my brother. We don't replace money with that responsibility because then we are creating other people who will come to shoot and say tutawalipa. So I want to urge the president and the government not to stop there. Compensation for the victims, justice for the victims, but responsibility to the perpetrators. We know who we assigned that gun that shot my brother here.
Apparently we don't.
Somehow we don't, but I've learned...
When you hear some of the testimonies in this inquest and somebody is saying that is not me, and I'm not saying that it is them, but it looks like a mirror image.
I've learned to appreciate the efficiency of government when it wants. I've also learned to appreciate the inefficiency of government when there is no goodwill. My contemporary and senior Kipchumba Murkomen, if he cracks the whip on people who did this, we'll find them. We have found them before.
You have brought in Kipchumba Murkomen.
Yes.
Okay. Kipchumba Murkomen is the same one who said what?
Shoot.
Again.
The president of this republic said what? And now they are telling us.
If we start going back that spiral, we might not find what we are looking for. Figureheads are just that. The
head of the National Assembly Committee of Defense said what?
Now
you can understand why there is skepticism.
I'm also skeptic, but I'm also hopeful that this time we'll see something different. What my straw is this: there is somebody who shot these people. There's somebody who should be responsible. Forgiveness is there, but the path to forgiveness, number one, is apology. You can't evade punishment. You can't evade responsibility by asking for forgiveness. If all murderers in this country could come and say, umekufa pole basi, which country do we have?
All right,
These people should be responsible.
Let me ask you this. 120 days for this panel to do what it's been mandated to do. And there is, of course, that bit about recommend reparations, prosecutions, or other accountability measures to the ODPP and relevant oversight bodies. Really, it has been over a year, right? We have an IPOA. We have an Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. Whatever this committee or task force comes up with, ultimately it is the responsibility of the ODPP. It is the responsibility of IPOA to see that justice is done for the likes of Tobias. It has not happened. What makes you think that after 120 days, this thing will happen? What will have changed significantly, Davis?
Olive, if you, I know I'm taking you back to my party, but if you listen to them, the former Prime Minister proposed that we have a national dialogue, national conversation. Only what we must accept is that we are at crossroads as a country. We are not in the right direction. We are off the rail. So we need to come back as a country and talk to ourselves and ask this question. Are we still the pride of Africa? In 1963 at Uhuru Gardens, we hosted our beautiful blue, is it green, red, white, and black flag? And with these words, we founded a nation. We said, "O God of all creation, bless this our land and nation. Justice be our shield and defender. May we dwell in unity, peace, and liberty. All plenty be found within our borders." Of course, there are paragraphs after that. But is justice still our shield and defender? Is plenty within our borders? Or are we in a liberty country? So these are the questions that we need to ask during this national conversation. And that's why, Olive, these questions you're asking, are we able to compensate these victims? Why did it take so long? Do we need IPOA? Do we need EACC? Do we need ODPP? Do we need 47 counties? Do we need to reduce them? These are the questions that we need, because IPOA has failed us. EACC has failed us. These are the questions that we need to ask. We need to ask about KNHCR, about the empaneling of this task force to help KNHCR do their job. We are just doing that because, as a country, we are not in the right direction. So, Olive, I think I must accept that we are not in the right direction. And that's why we must give this time, we must accept this issue of a national conversation. Let us hear what the media are saying. Let us hear what people in Turkana are saying. Let us hear what the people in the slums are saying. Let us hear what the people in my rural village in Nyakach are saying.
But why do you need to hear what people in your rural village in Nyakach are saying, what people in Turkana are saying, when the law is very clear on in what instances police are allowed to use their firearms and how they're permitted to use their fire. Why do we now need to have a national conversation around this issue? It is clear it is set out in law.
I'm telling you, let me tell you, Olive.
Where are we going back now?
Olive, we must go back. Let me tell you, Olive. I think here, even at Royal Media Services, you people have a conversation like annually, like the whole team. Even in the schools, we have like the annual general meeting where parents come, teachers come. You cannot tell me, Olive, that we have that conversation last year, we don't have it this year, or that we have school rules, let us just follow the schools and then the school will just be okay. Olive, I want to tell you, even this constitution, which was promulgated in the year 2010, needs a conversation. People need to converse. Even in our families, we converse every day. Even this morning with myself, I was conversing before coming here. How is it that it is so hard for a country to converse among itself? Let us hear what the children are saying. Let us hear what the Gen Zs are saying. Let us hear what the politicians
the Gen Zs are saying. Very good, very good.
Yes.
And we are getting your take.
Okay.
All right. So just let's take a look at some other feedback, okay? To inform this conversation. But one of those who've reacted to what we are discussing this morning is Fred Okango, technical team member, public communications lead, panel of experts on compensation of victims of protests and riots. And he says the panel of experts on compensation of victims of protests led by Professor Makau Mutua will ensure truth, accountability, and dignity for every life affected. This is how a nation acknowledges pain and builds cohesion. All right, let's take a look at some of those tweets. Ibrahim? There we go. That is Lekishon Laban, who says, Faith and Irungu have a solid record of standing with citizens. That is Faith Odhiambo, LSK, President, and Irungu Houghton. Their role on the Protest Victims Compensation Panel gives hope of transparency and justice, yet the real test is political will. Will those in power implement and finance their recommendations? This is Bob Uchino Wino, who says, youths will always be taken for granted because, ironically, the same politicians they went on the streets protesting against are the ones looking for their compensation without achieving their goals. This is Nixo Ndogire, who says, like one of the panelists has put it, our country is bleeding. I believe God can heal our country. The Gen Zs can once again have a massive drive, this time for national prayers, led by youthful religious leaders. It'll work. Amen. Njeru H. Pain can only be truly felt by the victims. Political proteges and defenders will always stand to guard their parties. The government has not kept its word, which is why people feel it is a waste of time. Faith Odhiambo has been at the forefront in helping victims. She is in the right place. Do we have another one? Okay, this is Godi Barasa Were, who says the Victims Compensation Initiative is a good move for government to show remorse, but every Kenyan's worry is that even in this solemn exercise, we have corrupt government operatives who are ready to steal the very funds for victims. So clearly, Kenyans are disheartened. I don't know if that's the right terminology. Wako na uchungu nyingi bado. You talked about Chan, Patricia, and you talked about how before Chan there was a lot of anger. Do you think we are over it? And I'm coming to you, Tobias, next. Sijakusahau. Do you think we are over it?
No, we're not over it. We are at a position where we think there are other things in life and life has to continue, but the anger is still within. That's why we have people who do not believe in the committee at all. It's because we have seen a repeat of this, that we find committees, but we don't come to the nitty-gritties or the very relevant things that are affecting us. Yes, you are compensating me, but am I going to get justice? If this person is still going to be in the next demonstration shooting people, then what stops them from shooting another person and compensating them? You see, the real issues are still not been answered, and they're still with us. Mm-hmm. Yes, the thorn is still in the flesh. It's not been removed. Mm-hmm. All we are doing is nursing the flesh around it, but the thorn itself has not been removed. And until the thorn is removed, that's the only time that we are going to feel reparated. Mm-hmm. That's the only time we are going to feel that, yes, somebody has heard our cries and taken it seriously. Somebody has answered the problems that we have. But again, I would love to give, to task Kenyans. The leadership is a representation of its people. The only difference is that the leaders have had the opportunity and they've had the chance to do whatever it is they're doing. But given that opportunity, I think most Kenyans would more or less just repeat the same script. We also need to look at ourselves because these police officers that we are talking about are our relatives. They're our cousins, they're our brothers, they're our sisters. These leaders we are talking about are our cousins, they're our parents, they're people that have lived among us. They're people that we know. It's not foreigners that we have imported into the country and given them leadership positions. No. It is not, we have not imported a police force and brought it to Kenya. No. These are
Kenyans.
These are Kenyans that we know. These are Kenyans that live among us. And even as we look at the victims...
So you're saying even as we are pointing fingers, there are 4 fingers pointing back at us?
Yes, there are other fingers pointing back at us because we are the people who brought them into power, aren't we?
Yeah.
We are the people who cast those votes. And we are the people who keep supporting them, even when we know we need not support them. So I think even as we look at the task force and point fingers, we also need to ask ourselves as Kenyans, where are we headed to? And take it seriously. Because life is not a joke.
Okay. Is it 3 or 4 fingers pointing back? Anyway, but
But there are fingers pointing back at us.
Yeah, they are.
And they are more than the ones that you are pointing at.
Okay. So, Tobias, let me ask you this. Let me just read out the people who make up this 18-member team. And Tobias, utatuambia kama unahisi kama umewakilishwa kwenye hii committee. Wewe umeumia. So we have Makau Mutua, who is chairing it. We have Faith Odhiambo, Vice Chair, Kennedy Ogeto, Irungu Houghton, John Olukuru, Reverend Father Kennedy Barasa Simiu, Linda Musumba, Dr. Duncan Ojwang, Dr. Naini Lankas, Francis Morea, Dr. Juliet Chepkemei, Pius Meto, Fatuma Kinsi Abbas, Raphael Anampiu, and John Minor. Richard Banu serves as technical lead, Duncan Okello, Ndeda Doctor as co-technical lead, Jerusa Muadhime, Michael Raphael Ngetich Doctor, and Daki Guyo as joint secretary. Let me see the team. I guess this is from National Treasury. John Wala and Peter Washira, National Treasury. Clinton Mwita, Office of the Attorney General. Geoffrey Obiri, Office of the DPP. Veronica Mwangi, yes, KNCHR. Emmanuel Lagat, Independent Policing Oversight Authority. Alan Onyango Sangoro, let me see, this is National Police Service. Florence Karimi Gashovia, Directorate of Criminal Investigations. Frederick Okango, we heard from him earlier. Public Comms, Sonia Rasugu, Private Sector. Daniel Bundi, Technology Youth Representative. Paul Achar, Private Sector. Suba Churchill, Civil Society. Hapa sijui nikaa naona Gen Z mmoja. Daniel Bundi, Technology Youth Representative. Tobias, unaona hawa watu ni kama wanaweza wakilisha ile uchungu unahisi?
Okay, mimi naweza sema kwa hiyo kwa watu wote umetaja, mimi acha nikwambie tu for real, mimi sijui mtu ama kama najua wengine maybe naona kwa media. So for now ile question naweza kuwa nayo ni ati hao watu kama kuna compensation tutawatoa wapi? Hata ikisemekana ati leo tuna compensatiwa, hata tuwakose unaweza mtoa wapi? Mimi siwajui. So ni ile tu na believe ama naamini yani tutakompensatiwa. Na hiyo unajua compensation doesn't mean ati ukinipea pesa ati imeni heal. Manzi hatujai heal. Na hata familia ziko na kilio kwa wenye walikufa. Na bado watoto. Unajua sasa kama
Mama Rex Masai hadi saa hii.
Yeah.
There is still an inquest. Rex Masai was the first one to, at least according to reports, the first to fall victim to a police bullet. Reportedly, they argue whether it was police or not. They argue that is for the courts. But honestly, over a year we see her in court. When she goes, you can just tell she's tired, she's exhausted. Is there, can you tell these people, Tobias. They have been waiting. Tobias says he was in hospital, many promises were made, akajipata ako peke yake. Si ndio? Hivyo ndio ulisema? Tobias, nimekukat short ama did you want to add anything else?
No, mimi naweza sema unaona kama huyo mama ya Rex Masai tumekuwa pia na yeye. Na ukiangalia pia tunatafuta justice. Hata kama wanatupea compensation bado justice iko. Ama compensation inaweza kuwa ni nini? Si bado justice iko. Ukiangalia mtu kama huyo mama ya Rex Masai mwenye alishoot Rex bado wanakana si yeye. So unapata maybe hata justice itapatikana. But utaona na unajua wakipeana kama hiyo compensation na justice haijapatikana next time ama kesho the same thing itarudiwa tena. So si pia tunaweza taka bado justice.
All right. So I'll bring in Ivy at this point.
Okay.
So clearly there are concerns that this might be a whitewash, that we are going through this process to funika the thing, right? And quote unquote, move on in Kenyan fashion where we sweep things under the carpet. What do you say to those who hold that view?
First of all, thank you, Olive, for that kind of sentiment that you've shared with me. I just want to read with you one of, my colleague here had already mentioned it. It's Frantz Fanon. It's one of our, actually the first episodes that we have of VAR, we call it Defining the Task of the Generation. And Frantz Fanon says that each generation must, out of obscurity, discover its mission, fulfill it, or betray it. So in this generation where we are given the task to either fulfill it, betray it, or make it happen. So at the end of the day, as I said, this is the third liberation of this country. Kenya is the heart of the continent. The reason why all this is happening in Kenya first before other countries is because Kenya is in a form of revival. We're in the midst of reviving the nation. We're in the midst of actually acknowledging that wrongs have been done, acknowledging that things have been made that are not supposed to be there, acknowledging that victims like Tobias have not been given his reparations, he's not been given justice, restorative justice have not been formed. So here we are as a generation asking, what can we do to make sure that this justice can actually reach the systems, to make sure that this justice can reach the people on the ground? And I believe that this panel, if given the mandate by God, because at the end of the day, God is the liberator of all of us. If given the mandate and they actually make sure that these systems are going to be done in a very systematic way, using the law as its foundation, without any politics or any political things coming in the butt, I believe that we can actually be able to save our nation through this generation that we have today. This generation is crying. This generation is on the streets. This generation is the one that's going to lead the next generation, the Gen Alphas, to become the next. So I believe that if we set precedents for what is to happen, then the rest of the generation, the rest of the continent is going to heal with us. So we're in the middle of a revival. I believe Olive, I don't know if you've seen yesterday, we've been having this week Rema Festival. It's been happening the whole week.
That's why I was about to tell you, preach.
You should see the people, like people are looking for God. People are looking for healing. There's so much anger on the ground. There's so much that has been happening to people. But people are looking for a way to heal, a way to restore themselves back. And I believe that this is the time. This is the time for us to actually change the system, to change and reimagine what can we do to make Kenya better. Because if Kenya does it, the continent will follow, because we are the heartbeat of the continent. If Kenya moves, the rest of the continent moves. And that should set precedents. We are the next of generations. We need to set precedents for this continent. If Kenya moves, the rest of the continent moves. So Olive, at the end of the day, we are the generation that is being put on the map.
Okay. All right. So Davis, you said you went to the streets, right?
Yes.
In 2023, 2024, 2025 to commemorate the 1-year anniversary. Why was that? What took you there?
Olive, I want to tell you something. That I joined politics while I was in third year as a student. And it is because of a purpose. And what I've realized over time is that there are people who came before us. Like we stand on the shoulders of giants who are here in the 1950s, the like of Dedan Kimathi, and the Jaramogi Oginga Odingas and the Bildad Kagias, and they spotted their generational goal. And they said that you want to drive out the white man out of this country so that we can have our own independence. And Olives, in 1963, these people drove out the colonialists, and today we can brag that we have our own president, a black man as a president, a black chief justice, a black speaker. We have our own national anthem, we have our own currency. That was then the generation. Then there's another generation who came here in between 1983. They fought neocolonialism. They fought one-party state. And in 1992, we had multi-party democracy. And today I can sit here from ODM, there is Jubilee, and there is all these other political parties. We cherish them. There's the lack of the Right Honorable Aida Odinga, the Martha Karuas of this country, the James Orengos.
You still have not answered my question.
That was
what took you to the streets in 2023,
because
2024,
I identified my generational goal, this is an economic liberation. That they liberated us from the colonialists in 1963. They liberated us from authoritarianism in 1980s. The people like Edwin Sifuna and Babu gave us a new constitution. Now we must liberate the youth from economic, from the economic liberation. Yes. So only what I want to add is that so that one day, if I get to heaven, and God asks me that we gave you talents, we gave you social media, what did you do? We gave you a voice. You came to Citizen TV. How did you help your generation? I will also say that you gave us talent, you gave me a voice, and we delivered an economic liberation to the next generation, so that we can also pass a torch. Because the people in 1963 will say that they delivered independence. The people in 1980 will say they delivered multi-party democracy. The early 2000s will say that they threw out authoritarianism. What will I say about my generation? So it was a generational call. That's why I went to the streets. And even when we had this MOU with UDA then, I still went back to the streets because the generation called me. That's why I told you, Olive, I was in the streets this year in June. And the MOU was signed in February, in March, I think, or in February. And I had to go to commemorate with my people, the generation. Yes.
All right. So the mood then in the country, as I remember it, there was a sense of feeling voiceless.
Yes.
There was a sense of voicelessness. And this, of course, was triggered by the finance bill of 2024, that people have publicly participated and said, we don't want these things in the bill. And yet their representatives went ahead, right, and ignored these shouts, literal shouts outside Parliament. And I think that's what drove the likes of Tobias to Parliament to say, hey, we are here, and we are saying, listen. So there was a sense of voicelessness. When I look at this panel, and while we celebrate what Faith Odhiambo has done, we celebrate Irungu Houghton and how they have stood with the Gen Z, I still feel there is a lack of representation.
Sure. I also believe in that. In fact, I've always spoken about this, and I also even wrote a document to my party when they gave experts to the government that there was no representation of the young people. There were there was a woman from Turkana, but even when they were replacing these people in the party, because Honorable John Badi was the chairperson of the party, Honorable Joe was the deputy party leader, all those positions were never filled with a young person. Even in this panel, the biggest victims are the young people. But we only have one person as a young person there.
Representing the
youth.
Is it technology stroke youth?
Representing the youth, that is an infringement. And we will talk about it, Olive. We cannot allow that to happen. I think even as our proposals, and Olive, I also wrote a proposal of how we can do the intergenerational conclave. And we say that 50% of the people who are to be in that intergenerational conclave must be young people. Because we are the people who had issues. People cannot represent us, people who never knew what we actually wanted. So that one,
You agree with that?
Yes.
All right, I'll come to you, Mokaya. Is this team further evidence that the systems in this country do not work?
Olive, I have the benefit of knowing close to 12 out of the 18 of the panelists in that team on a personal level. And I have no doubt that they could be the cream of this country. But I want to speak to my brother that this generation will have to liberate itself first from blind following and hero worship. If you listen to him in his 5 minutes presentation, he has listed a list of half of the celebrities in this country.
No, but he has every right to look up to who he feels.
I'm just saying, we must learn to, number one, think independently. I know Faith Odhiambo as my president, but I don't swear by her name. I know 12 people in that committee, but I don't agree with them because I look up to them. Fred Okango, who has spoken so well on Twitter there, he's one of the political luminaries that I look up to. But again, I have to separate myself from my heroes because, again, I believe more in institutions more than I believe in people. My first point on this panel was we could have enriched these institutions other than even the Bible says, cursed is the man who puts his trust in a human being. So maybe we could have thought about institutional empowering more than putting our trust in human beings. That said, even when I personally know more than half of the committee members and I believe in their abilities, but as again, human beings with our weaknesses, what matters to us ultimately is what we take home. And that is the truth we must embrace, that if you take out allowances from any committee, we don't have any sitting. But if we can't take that away from an institution that is mandated to do its job. So I believe that they are capable. I believe that they'll deliver with the right resources, the right processes, and the right political goodwill. We are obsessed with representation. Why? Because we don't trust in the people who we put forward in any other institution. We say that corruption is when it doesn't benefit you. When it benefits you, it's connection. We need to liberate ourselves from that. And the road towards that is institutionalizing our problems. That you trust in the police. You don't trust in a policeman that you know. You trust in the committee. You don't trust in Makau Mutua that you know. So then the road towards this is, can we empower our institutions and allow them to do their job? Can we stop swearing in the name of our heroes and swear in our constitution, swear in frameworks, institutions, and even the TORs, beautifully written. So we should believe in structures, not believe in people. That's why my brother here is always saying, ajui mtu hapo. We are a nation of kujuana. If I don't see someone I know somewhere, I'm sure, I think I'm finished. And that goes into even our elective politics.
Okay, but I'll ask you this. Who knows better what they have gone through than themselves? Representation is why we have women in parliament as well, women representatives, because a woman has walked in the shoes of a woman, for instance.
That is true, but again, we have good examples of those who have failed. We are also looking at this committee with a closed eye. This committee is not a beginning and end of itself. I believe they'll have sittings. In those sittings, then they'll call victims. They'll call a police. They'll have
but when the deliberations and decisions are made, they are not at the table. All right, let's take a look at some feedback quickly, and then we'll get your take. Patricia. We have at least, I think, 3 more tweets we'll look at, and then Patricia will get your sentiments. This is Okello Mwalimu. Even though the events leading to deaths of protesters could have been handled in a better way, any move by the government aimed at wiping the tears of families that lost loved ones is welcome. Anyone who is opposed to the compensation program is an enemy of the victims. Let's see, this is Sheila, Sweden. The government's move to compensate victims of police brutality is commendable, but a bigger question lingers. Are the very officers who inflicted this harm facing justice behind bars? The answer would be no. This is Bob Otieno. We know government should first tackle problems which led to protests before thinking of compensation, because it's business as usual. Status quo still reigns, which may lead to other protests. How important, Patricia, is good faith to this process? And how can the government engender this good faith? Because initially, government was even disputing the figures from the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. And they were saying not that many people died. It sort of sets the wrong tone. And there was a point where people felt there was more concern, and I'm not diminishing the business losses, but there was a point where people felt that there is more sympathy for business losses and property damage than there is for deaths and injuries. How can the government engender good faith when we had the president say, shoot them in the leg? When we had, because somebody here talked about sanctity of life. We have the chair of the National Defense Committee, a people's representative, or should be, say, in fact, shoot to kill. When we have the Cabinet Secretary of Interior, Kipchumba Murkomen, make similar remarks to the two. How does the government move from that and engender the good faith that Mokaya has in this team? In your view?
I think the good faith can only be assured by the people themselves, the ones that are in the committee. There is no way of ensuring that they will actually deliver in good faith, because I believe when we chose some of our leaders, we thought that they will bring developments in good faith, but they ended up betraying us. Our parliamentaries, we believed that they were going to listen to the people, represent the people, and actually say no to the finance bill that people were shouting no to. But they betrayed us. I feel, and I think faith can only be guaranteed by the people who are there. There is no way of forcing somebody into obliging or delivering in good faith. It is just that the members that are there need to show the country that this is the trajectory that we have been, and this is what we are breaking. And that's why we say, I have seen so many people put their faith on Faith Odhiambo, because she proved that she has every good intention to make sure that the law is upheld and that the victims of these demonstrations are reparated, and they are not just victims because they were outside there exercising their right to picket and their right as Kenyans to be Kenyans. So I feel it's just the people who are in that panel need not to feel us, because we have seen that. I think from the moment I could comprehend and take the seriousness of things, I have seen Kenya being in the worst trajectory in terms of politics, in terms of our economic developments, in terms of corruption. People have not been held accountable. And the other thing is that why was this committee brought at this time, when we are fighting the case of Rex Masai in court, and we are seeing people denying that they are not themselves, while we can see they are themselves? What is the hidden agenda behind this committee? Is it a way of getting information that the KNHCR has? Is it a way of getting information that IPOA has to counteract whatever is happening? The small things that we have seen are happening. The small justice that we feel is coming into play. Is it a way of getting information and fighting us on the other end? What is the real agenda of this committee? Why has it come now? And will it deliver? That is the faith we have, is in Faith Odhiambo and the committee. I personally just know Faith Odhiambo in that committee. And I don't know anyone else. The representation, I feel we have so many intellectuals there, but we do not have any representative from the victims. That is already a red flag that we feel we need representation in that part. Even as you speak for them, let there be somebody who says, this is how we are feeling. I, as part of the people who went through this is what I would have done. If this is not done, then what are we doing? We cannot have conversations and no implementation. So what is the implementation strategy? Are we going to see actual implementations, or are we just going to see another report written and no implementation? Exactly. Stories are jabba. Are we actually going to see implementations? Okay. Or is it the normal dialogues that we have, the normal conversations that we have, people get paid, a report is given, but there is no implementation?
All right.
So I think the government needs to, after that committee has sat and it has given its recommendations, which I think other organizations have given those recommendations. I don't know what new what other new
Recommendations will come.
yes they're going to bring in.
Okay.
If this committee was put there for implementation, then I think the Kenyans would even have more hope that now whatever was brought into what was tabled is now being implemented.
All right.
The main thing will be implementation. That's the only time we will now say, now we have faith that Kenya is moving to the right direction.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're going to press pause on this conversation because the conversation around proportional use of force and also citizen responsibility in terms of demonstrations not to touch police stations or loot supermarkets is one we will need to have the national conversation that Davis was talking about. But let me thank my panelists this morning. Ivy Mushoki, National Coordinator, VAR 3738, Davis Bin Oluoch, ODM Youth League. I think your comments have been filled. I don't know what you did to Mokaya. Otieno Mokaya, advocate. Patricia Mwiti, advocate. Tobias, thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. Tobias Doe is a victim of the June 25th protests. I don't think I've left anybody out. No. All right. My name is Olive Barrows. Coming up, Level Up.